One of the most common questions I get at Stafford Test Centre is where will I have to do my manoeuvres on the Stafford driving test? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly where all of the manoeuvres can happen and how you can do them perfectly. So let's start at the beginning. We are at Stafford Driving Test Centre. At the beginning of your test, when you go into the car park, you need to reverse into a bay. The first thing you don't want to do at the beginning of your driving test is have to reverse out of a bay. It's asking for trouble, it's very busy, and it's a very small car park. So, it doesn't matter how you get into one of those bays, just make sure you reverse. I'm going to show you how to do that now. Nobody's watching you, so no pressure. Now, if you can forward bay park, reverse bay park, parallel park, it doesn't actually matter where you do that. If you can do it and you're confident doing it, you're going to be able to do it anywhere. But if you're anything like me and knowing where the examiner is likely to take you to do these is just going to boost your confidence that little bit, then this is the video for you. Okay, we're approaching the test centre. We've got our test in 10 minutes. How are you feeling? You're going to be nervous. Most people are going to be nervous, okay? The first thing to remember is it doesn't matter at all how you get in the bay, okay? No one's watching, you're not being marked. Remember that. Regardless of what your brain's telling you, you're not being marked. You've just got to get the car reversed into the bay any way you like. Your test hasn't started, okay? Now I'm going to show you how I tend to do it and how I show my learners to do it. That doesn't mean you can't do it any other way. As long as the car ends up in the bay, that's all that matters. Now we're approaching the test centre. It's on our left. We're going to be fairly close to the curb at the moment. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move out. I'm going to pop a signal on, but it just gives me a bit more space to turn. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to go wide around this corner and I'm going to fully turn all the way into this sort of area on the left, into the bays. I'm not trying to get it in a bay. I'm just trying to give myself as much reversing room as I can. Okay, so I've gone all the way to the curb. Okay, the car's beeping, I'm that close to the curb. Now I'm having a look and I'm picking a bay at this point, okay? So all I need to really do is find one line. Now I can see a line in this mirror, so I'm having a good look around. Okay, and I'm just trying to get that wheel nice and close to that line, really slowly. Don't panic, try not focus on anyone else, because remember there's gonna be other people here as well, also just focusing on themselves, and all you're trying to do is get it roughly between the lines. Doesn't have to be exact, just has to be roughly in the middle. Okay, and really take your time. It's easy for me to just throw it in there like that. I'm not nervous, I haven't got my test coming up. You will, but that's what you're aiming for. Chilled, taking your time, nice big swing, and then reversing. On your driving test, you will be asked to do one of 4 manoeuvres. You will be asked either to do a reverse bay park, this is where you reverse into a parking bay. A forward bay park, this is where you drive forward into a parking bay. Now the real important part with this one is you will be asked to also reverse back out of the bay because the examiners want to see how you reverse. So you would never be asked to do this in any driving test centre. The third one is the parallel park. Now the parallel park is where you pull up next to a parked car on the left side of the road and you'll be asked to reverse behind the parked car within around a maximum of 2 car lengths. This doesn't mean you have to be 2 car lengths away, this means you can't be any more than 2 car lengths away. Now when I finish the parallel park, I would also try and make sure I've got tyres and tarmac, giving me enough space to drive out forward. The fourth and final manoeuvre is to pull up on the right and reverse the car approximately 2 car lengths. Now because Stafford Driving Test Centre is so small, it's very unlikely you're going to be asked to do any manoeuvre at the end of your driving test in the test centre. In fact, out of the hundreds of students that I've taken on test to Stafford, I've only ever had one be asked to do a reverse bay park in Stafford Test Centre, and that was about 2-3 years ago. So I would consider that no way you're going to be asked to do a reverse bay park in Stafford Test Centre. Now, when you finish your driving test and you get back to the test centre, again, you are not going to be marked. They are going to specifically say to you, throw the car in roughly any bay you like. You're not going to be marked, so don't worry about the lines. And they literally mean it. You can stop where you want. It really doesn't matter. Just try not block other cars from getting into the car park. Okay, so where would you be asked to do a reverse parallel park on the left? Now the examiner can literally ask anywhere they like. The only golden rules with this is to make sure there's only 1 car on the left. So you'll only parallel park next to 1 car, not parallel park between 2 cars like you would in real life. This makes things a lot less stressful for you and a lot easier. On the map here, these are the key locations that you're most likely going to be asked to do a parallel park.
Kingsley Road is always a perfect place for practicing your parallel park. It has a nice wide road and lots of parked cars, and it's nice and quiet. Harder Avenue, also a good place for practicing your parallel park, although this is the busiest of the three areas. Conway Road, another absolutely fantastic place for practicing parallel park. Always park cars on either side. Just be aware these are real people's cars, so don't sit there all day.
And that is because these are the locations that line up with the driving test routes. If you want to see what those are, have a look at my link there in the description. Go on my website, you'll see all the test routes there, or have a look in the description or whatever. So if you are practicing, it's worth having a go at these specific areas just to make sure you've got a comfortable idea of what's going on. Now, when you are doing a parallel park, try not get too close to the parked car and try not to be too close to the curb. You want to be nice and central. This is going to give you lots of room. This is going to mean your front end's not going to end up hitting the curb, and you're not going to get too close to the parked car when you're trying to reverse back behind it. The other most important thing with the parallel park is to make sure that you check all the way around the car with this maneuver, just because there could be people in driveways coming out that you're not going to see when you're going left and your front end comes out. And finally, make sure you're doing it really slow. Now, people don't know what slow means. Everyone's slow is like something slightly different. So to specify, it's a walking speed, meaning 1 mile per hour. If you start going anything above 1 mile an hour, you're doing it too fast. When you do the maneuvers, see, think about it from the examiner's perspective. Slow is showing control. I can control the clutch control. Fast is showing I can't control the clutch. Any sausage can get the clutch up and the car just goes 5 miles an hour. Well, that's no good because, well, you're going backwards. You can't see properly, which means what's more likely to happen? Well, you're more likely to hit someone or something. Okay, next let's have a look at the popular spots for a pull-up on the right. Now, the examiner could literally ask you to do this anywhere. Okay, they're not going to pick a busy road. They don't want you to fail. They are going to pick a quiet road, probably residential. There might be a car or two around while you're doing it, but it's not going to be a major road. Now, I personally think this is one of the easiest of all 4 maneuvers. However, it is going to be a bit of a shock if you've never done it, so do make sure you practice. Now, you've got 2 jobs with this maneuver. One, to make sure you stay reasonably close to the curb, which is no more than half a meter, a drain's width, ideally. The easiest way to do this is make sure you finish when you pull over nice and straight. If you finish at an angle or anything like that, you've made your life 10 times harder when trying to reverse the car back. So priority 1, finish nice and straight when pulling over on the right. Then when we're reversing back, all we need to do is keep the wheel nice and straight, looking behind us, but also glancing in the right mirror. If you're glancing in that right mirror occasionally, you're going to see your distance from the curb at the same time as being able to look behind you. Once again, nice and slow, 1 mile per hour, all the way 2 car lengths. Only golden rule with this is if a car's coming this way, we're on the right side of the road, we're on their side, they're going to need to go round us. You need to 1, spot them, and 2, stop the car when they're getting close. Then once they've gone, carry on. Now, if you go more than 2 car lengths, fine, the examiner's just going to say, okay, that's enough, that'll do. And if you haven't gone quite enough, the examiner's going to say, oh, you need to go a bit more. So don't stress it, this isn't a, oh my God situation, it should be nice and simple. Now, these are the main places where they will tend to ask you to do it. This sort of housing estate here and Crab Lane housing estate here, just because once again, they're great for the sort of test route areas that you're going to be doing. Now, something we haven't mentioned is on your driving test, you are also going to be asked to pull over around 4 times. One of these is likely to be an angled start, which is where you pull up close to another vehicle or hazard, around half a car length away, and then you're asked to pull off again. Idea of this is just to make sure that you know to turn the wheel lots before moving so you don't take the corner off the vehicle in front. You may also be asked to do a hill start. You know what this is, just making sure you're using your parking brakes so you don't roll back and you can pull off nice and comfortably without stalling. Apart from that, the other 2 are just bonuses, pulling over, just to make sure you can pull over on the side of the road safely, close enough to the curb within half a meter, and pull off safely without pulling out on another car. Key things with this are make sure you check your blind spot before pulling off. Again, worth practicing this if you haven't. They may very well ask you to do this on main roads. Just make sure there's no double yellows or anything like that, and try not to park next in front of drop curbs. I did have a learner have a bit of a problem with pulling over, and it's one of those situations that you just don't see it every time on your lessons. And that's the problem with learning to drive. You can't experience everything. Sometimes you have to pass your test before you experience something, like an ambulance coming past. And poor old Ellie, she was asked to pull over, and she did a great job of pulling over. There was a parked vehicle on the opposite side of the road. Absolutely fine. She was asked to pull over there. That was fine, there's lots of room, but there wasn't enough room for cars to carry on this way and cars behind her to carry on as well. And the examiner said, when it's safe to do so, carry on. Well, there's oncoming cars and there's cars behind her waiting for her because she's signaling to pull off. So they've stopped to let her go and they can't squeeze through anyway until the oncoming cars are gone. But she sat there. She's blocking the cars behind her, but she stopped because there's cars behind her, but they've stopped. If you're blocking the road and the cars behind you can't go and there's enough room for you to go, then just go, because you're the hazard, you know? It's safe to go. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Apart from that, use your common sense. Don't pull out on anyone if they're moving. If you do want all the maneuvers and test routes explained in more detail, have a look at my website as well. You've got your online driving course there with all the maneuvers in. You've got your test routes package. You can get a lot for like the cost of one driving lesson. So yeah, have a look there. Now this is where you're going to be asked to do the forward or reverse bay parking. Now you're only going to be asked to do one of these. It's either going to be here in Sainsbury's car park, really good place to have a practice, or you may be asked to do it in Dunelm car park. Definitely worth a practice. It's a bit smaller car park and there's a bit of building work going on, but they're still using it. It can get very busy, so do have a go here. And finally, the range car park. Again, bit tighter, road markings on there aren't fantastic, the bay lines aren't great. Have a go, just warm up a bit so you know what to expect and well, you're good. As I mentioned before, if you do a forward bay park, you will be asked and expected to reverse back out. The examiner will say, can you reverse out? So don't panic, it's not something you need to remember particularly, it's just a heads up. And it's because they want to see you reverse. Again, anytime you reverse, it doesn't matter what maneuver, 1 mile per hour, show control, not speed. Of course, make sure you're having a look around as well, and you'll be absolutely fine. If you need to correct it, you will have a get out of jail free card. You can reverse as much as you want and go back forward, no problem, but you can only really get away with this once generally. So don't be reversing backwards and forwards 20 times and expect to pass. With the reverse bay park, same idea. Only difference with the reverse bay park is make sure you position in the center of the road. Don't position too far away from the bays because you don't want your front end going out and clipping the cars on the opposite side of the bays. One of my students recently did this on the driving test. Luckily the examiner brakes, otherwise it would have been a sad day for everyone. Then again, reversing to your bay, 1 mile an hour, making sure you're looking around, Bob's your uncle. Again, you can fix this by going forwards and backwards once, so don't stress it, you don't need to do it perfect first time. Golden rule with the maneuvers, never ask if you can start again. Can I start again? No, you can't start again. Think, if you're out with your mate and you're going co-op or somewhere, you know, going cinema and you're parking up, you're gonna say to your mate, I'm gonna start this again. No, you just fix it. You just go forward, make it easy for yourself and reverse back in. Don't start the whole thing again. If you say that to the examiner, you've just used your get out of jail free card. You can't now go forward again and backwards. So we don't ever start again in that normal position that we started in. We just go forward towards a bay in front of us and reverse back in. And that's it. Hopefully that has given you a good idea of what's happening in Stafford on your driving test. Good luck with your practicing. If you want some more info, give us a shout. Got any questions, let me know in the comments. If you want any more videos in Stafford, let me know specifically what you want. And I look forward to hearing that you've passed very soon. Josh out. Boom, boom.